Welcome back again. Thank you for joining me for 3.3b. So in this one, we're still going to be graphing inequalities. However, we're going to be graphing absolute value inequalities as well. So we need to know the difference between when to make the V, when to make a straight line, and then how the shading works for both. Now, again, these are things you've already done. Back in chapter 2, you graphed all these inequalities. So it's really just putting some skills together that you've already done. So the top one. The top one is a line, okay? So when it's a line, it's just going to be strictly linear. When you're graphing something linear, like we've already discussed, graph the y-intercept, slope of 1, so up 1 over 1. And now I interpret how I'm going to shade and make my line. That is going to be a solid line. And I'm going to be shading above my line. I'm going to be shading all of that. Now we have to remember absolute value graphing. So remember, absolute value graphing, we interpret this and say that's sending my vertex left 1 up 2. Left 1 up 2 will plot me right there. The negative out front, that negative out front is going to be opening it downward. So I'm going to have a slope of -1. So down 1 over 1. Then of course this is going to be the V shape is an absolute value. So I do exactly the reverse in the other direction. Here I interpret my sign this time, dashed line. That's because it's strictly less than. And of course less than, I look at my vertex and I shade below the vertex. And in this case, that's going to be within. So look at all of that. And here is my double shaded region. All of this in here, all this black, is a double shaded region that I want for my solution. So again, it's all things you've seen before. You just have to be able to put them together for me now. So let's take a look at our next one. So again, the top one is a straight line, okay? Start up at your y-intercept at 3, slope of 1/2, up 1 over 2. And now I interpret my sign. So this is a dashed line because it's strictly greater than, and greater than means I'm going to shade above. So now that I have that, now I can graph my second one. This is an absolute value, so of course that means that we're going to be looking at a V shape. This is going to shift it to the right 2 and up 1. So my vertex is going to be sitting right there. Slope of 1, so up 1 over 1. And then obviously to get my V shape, I have to do the same in the opposite direction. All right, and here, this is going to be a solid line and going to be shading underneath. Well, in this case, underneath my vertex brings me out here, so everything outside of the absolute value is going to get shaded. And this time, my double shaded region is over here. So I'm just going to darken this in just to make sure you understand where that double shaded region is. All right, so let the fun continue. Now, you do want to make sure you also understand our special cases. So remember, when we just have y and a number, remember that is a perfectly horizontal line, okay? So again, make sure we know our special cases still. And above that, well, means I'm going to be shading up here. Absolute value graphing. Of course, we're looking to see where is the vertex. This shifts the vertex to the right 3, up 1, and then this represents the slope. Okay, so remember, that's going to send me up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and then of course the same in the opposite direction. Interpret this, so it's going to be a dashed line and shaded above. Above my vertex is going to put me within there. Then of course I want to darken in my double shaded area. So my double shaded area this time is this little bit right here. So I'm just going to darken that in. The other special case when it comes to lines is x being compared to a number. And remember that is going to be a perfectly vertical line. And remember x being less than 4, well the x values less than 4 are all over here. Absolute value, that one. So again, we're getting our v. So here, we're going to go left 4, down 1. So left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, plops me right there. A slope of -2. Well, slope of -2 is going to be down 1 over 2. So this is going to be another one that's opening downward. Then, of course, do the same in the opposite direction. That is how you get your V. Interpret your line. So here, I am going to get a solid line. And then I want less than. So less than is going to be within my absolute value. And in this case, my double shaded region is right in there. All right, so all the graphing methods you already know, just again in a slightly different way, putting skills together. Now, I do want to give you a critical thinking challenge. Okay, so what would no solution look like when using a line and an absolute value? So here, I just want you to think graphically, what could that look like? Well, absolute values make a V shape, right? So what if I shaded above the absolute value, and then what if my line was down here and I shaded below my line? There'd be absolutely no crossing for those, okay? And again, when there's no double shaded region, that would actually create a no solution. So it is possible to get no solution when you have these two situations. You just have to have that value pointing up and already above the line, and the line going downward. So there's no double shading. All right, so these notes are really quick and sweet because again, the awesome thing about these notes is you already know everything in them. All you have to do is put some skills together. So what I'd like you to do, as always, please write that summary for me and then come back ready to do your practice work.